This is Project Command.
Stand by to power transfer.
Time is X minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
The Air Force's role in space launch is extremely vital. We provide the warfighter with necessary equipment to get the job done.
That's what I've been working on 2 years. It's all come up to this one day, and when it goes off without a problem, it's just one of the greatest feelings you can have.
It's a huge responsibility, and it does make you feel proud, especially on day of launch.
The rumble in your chest, to the bright lights coming off of the booster, to just hearing the roar of this rocket breaking the sound barrier. It's truly amazing.
There's no way to describe a night launch. Just, it lights up the whole sky, and it's almost like you replace the sun just for those few seconds.
It's a great feeling to know that people around the world are watching the product of my actions. It's a phenomenal burden, but it's also a remarkable reward.
It's definitely a point of pride. Just to know that you had a part in that is pretty impressive. To do things that will be used not only by the Air Force, but the world as a whole is pretty neat.
We're launching rockets out here, and it's awesome.
My name is Jay Smith. I'm a senior airman in the United States Air Force. I'm 24 years old, and I'm from Eaton Rapids, Michigan. The history of Cape Canaveral is just absolutely amazing. To see how far we've come in such a short amount of time absolutely blows my mind. We started out just sending up weather rockets, small ones that are probably no longer than your kitchen table, to the ones we send up now that get to send satellites all the way out to Pluto. But what the Air Force does at Cape Canaveral is probably going to trickle down to almost every person, whether it be satellite communication that was developed by the military, our GPSs that everybody uses, and things that trickled their way into civilian norms, really. They had to start somewhere, and this is the place. With the Air Force stationing me here in Florida, I get to see it from start to finish. Not a lot of people get that in their job. A lot of people work all day, they go home and they say, what am I doing? What am I working for other than a paycheck? And, I get the paycheck too, but I get to see stuff off into the wild blue, and that's pretty cool.
I'm Matthew Lucas. I'm a captain in the United States Air Force, and I'm the field program manager for the Wideband Global SATCOM mission, which is sitting on top of this big rocket right here. My job here is to make sure that when the spacecraft leaves the factory, that it comes down here, it gets processed correctly, it gets tested out, it gets fueled up properly, and brought out here to the pad. I've always thought, this t-shirts that say, as a matter of fact, I am a rocket scientist, were kind of funny. I get to actually wear one now. It's kind of cool.
We're standing here in the blockhouse, Complex 5 and 6. This is the command and control room for Explorer 1, America's very first satellite. The type of technology that they used in this time period, it's pretty amazing what they're able to accomplish with it. If you look along this side panel, you'll see that we hadn't even really started using transistors too much when Explorer 1 took off. We were still using the tube technology. You might hear your grandfather or your father talk about the old tube TVs, having to pull out an old one, go buy a new one. Well, this is a lot of the same stuff. If you look out the window, you can see we're real close to the launch pad itself. Today when we launched, we're over 3 miles away from any of our current launch pads, whereas back at the time of Explorer 1, we had to physically be this close because of technology problems and well, not really problems, but the limits of technology. So that dictated where the blockhouse had to be. This computer was the backup computer for Neil Armstrong, one of his flights. This was one of the very first pieces of equipment to use transistor technology versus the tube technology that had been used. This entire bank of computers only holds 5K of memory, which is pretty amazing. A lot of people have wristwatches that hold way more than that. Up top we have our countdown timers. Once the hold time was over and they cleared the rocket for launch, the countdown began. This is really where it all happened. You see these two switches uncovered. Once the countdown time was down to 0, they flipped those twos open, popped those switches, and away the rocket went.
I'm Lieutenant Colonel John Wagner, United States Air Force. I'm the commander of the 45th Launch Support Squadron. You know, I've always wanted to be a part of the space program, and you know, the Air Force is an exciting place to do just that. Most people don't realize the Air Force space program is equivalent to NASA in size and scope, and in most cases larger. You know, the shuttle launches about once a month, and I've got 3 launches here in the next 30 days. So if you want to be in the space program, the Air Force is a great way to do it.